Hello friends, I hope your day is going well, and I'm very happy to welcome you at my channel and in this video. And today I want to talk about three centers that I was talking about in three previous videos. So it's our mind center, then it's our heart center, and then there is a body center, all right? So I thought it would be worth to make a video where I'm explaining, first of all, why I think it's important to observe those three centers in your life, how I started doing that, and what effects I see on my life, how it influences me, how it's related to different spheres of our lives, and etc, etc, etc. So I would like to start with the source, right? So how did I start doing that? That's the first topic, right? That's the first question. So basically, this year I've been learning Enneagram really deeply, and I've been researching a lot. I've done some courses, and I've done some observations of my own life and my own behaviors and lives of other people. If you've never heard of Enneagram, it's something, first of all, it's like a really deep conception. There are a lot of things, but just to put it in a few words, it's something like a dynamic typology, right? So you are able to distinguish your type. There are 9 types in Enneagram, and you're able to distinguish your type, and then according to your type you will understand what kind of unconscious patterns you have, what kind of frustrated needs you have. Excuse me. What kind of frustrated needs you have, and what to do about that. That's why this is a dynamic system, right? Because it gives you answers, it gives you ways to deal with your unconscious behaviors, right? And Enneagram is basically it's based on 3 centers, right? So the first one is the mind center, then there is emotional center, and then there is a body center, right? And as I said, there are 9 types, and 3 centers. So each center has 3 types. And how to understand what center are you in? Each center has the main need and the main emotion. And Enneagram says that you need to find the need in your life that has been the most frustrated, right? So from the previous videos, you know that it's safety, then it's love, and then there is respect and boundaries and power, right? So whichever need is the most frustrated, it's hard to understand really, because as I said before, it's really unconscious. So it would be hard for you to know immediately which need is the most frustrated in your life and which need has been the most frustrated in your life since you were a child, right? Because a lot of those programs originated from our childhood, from our most early years, which we mostly don't remember, and then they developed into certain motivation. So you have a frustrated need, right? And then it developing a certain motivation, cognitive fixation, and then a pattern, right? So you might be using the patterns that were programmed within you when you were 1 year old, or when you were 2 year old, right? So when you were a toddler, and you might be not aware at all about it, all right? So I was studying Enneagram, and it was really interesting, and I was observing, as I said, this on my own life. And then at some point I started realizing that, I mean, of course, every person has all of those three centers, right? Your type says which center and which need is the most frustrated in you, right? So this is where your type is. But now we're gonna go away from the Enneagram a little bit and just stay at three centers, because Enneagram is also quite complicated and quite complex if you want to learn it yourself, if you want to study it yourself, and if you want to work with yourself independently. It's quite complex and it takes a lot of time. But if you want to do it good, of course you can do it on a very shallow level, and it will be like this. You can do a test online. It will tell you like your type 2 or your type 8, you know, and you need to do this, this, and this. It's the same as with, I don't know, like human design or astrology. It's important to go deep into the systems, right? But Enneagram is mostly it's based on the energy in a way, but it's also based a lot on psychiatry and psychotherapy. So there have been a lot of therapists and psychiatrists working on the conception, right? Okay, so now we leave Enneagram a little bit and we come back to the three centers, right? So we are gathering at the three centers. So what is happening basically? What happened with me, right? At some point I started realizing that all of those three centers, I mean, of course we all have all of them, and all of those three centers have different symptoms when they're balanced and when they're disbalanced. And then I started observing myself more. And every time I would have a certain issue that I would be conscious about, that I would be aware of, because I'm doing different practices and exercises for self-reflection. I spend a lot of time with myself, so I have this space to understand what's going on, and if something is wrong with me, with the way I feel, with my life, or whatever, with my relationships. And then I started noticing the symptoms, and then I was like, okay, so this is clearly connected to the emotional center, you know, because I would have felt this way when my emotional center would go out of balance. And this is what would happen. So I'd be like, okay, so, and now, for example, there is something that is clearly connected to my body center, and now there is something that is clearly connected to my mind center, you know? And then I would be like, okay, so what if I make some kind of a system that will have all of these centers well put into words, you know, well described, and with very, very obvious symptoms. Like, for example, body center, symptom number 1, symptom number 2, symptom number 3, symptom number 10, and etc. Right? Then the same with the mind center, with the heart center. And then I started following this system a little bit, and I started also thinking of what practices and exercises that I already do are connected to what centers. So for example, I like to do diary of emotions. I don't do this all the time. Sometimes I'm more persistent, sometimes less, but in general I really like this instrument. And for me it was very, very clearly connected with the heart center, right? Because I would be able to see how my emotions are working literally, why am I feeling what I'm feeling, and etc. I really like to write my thoughts out, for example, before I go to sleep, or just not like a diary, but just free writing. And that for me would be clearly connected with my mind center. I like to do some practices that you know, kind of create this environment where you can release your aggression, and that would be clearly connected to the body center, right? It can be, for example, I've been doing Taekwondo for quite some time, and Taekwondo was an amazing space to work with your body center, to work with your rage, with your aggression in the most healthy and ecological way. All right, and to understand it, to be able to see it, to be able to express it, right? And then I started to see, okay, so, but how do I put it all together? How do I put it all together? Okay, so there are symptoms, there are some practices that I do already, and there are some practices that I'm kind of like thinking of every time I'm running into a certain symptom of a certain center. So then I decided to, I mean, since I already observed it on my life and I've kind of tested it a little bit with some of my friends and my family, then I was like, okay, so now it's time to share it. And for me, it's so valuable and so important to receive the feedbacks, which I'm also gonna post very soon on my Instagram, to receive the feedbacks where people are telling me that like, wow, I never realized that I've been following these strategies, the ones that I explained in my previous videos, or I've never realized that that this could be the root of a certain issue or like a certain pattern that I'm experiencing in my life, or I've never realized that that I'm holding so much rage within me, and that it's affecting the way I feel. Like, for example, one person sent me a message saying that of course I'm feeling very low on energy, and I don't have really resource to do a lot of things because I'm holding so much rage within me. How can I be actually active, and how can I actually be resourceful when all of my time literally goes into just holding this rage? And I've been to so many therapists, and I've been to so many different specialists, and not even one of them have talked about it, right? And this is why, again, I decided to share it, because I really believe it's super important and it's super valuable to work with different therapists, to work with different professionals, with different practitioners and stuff like that. But I also believe that the most important work is the self-observation and like self-analysis and self-development, right? Because it's really not possible to have a person rather than you to be with you 24/7, to see everything you're doing, to see all of your patterns, to ask you questions every moment of every day. It's not possible to have this person rather than you. You have to be the one observing yourself, asking yourself questions, reflecting on yourself, and etc. 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 It's good to have help. It's really important to have help. It's absolutely needed, and I do use help as well. I have some people who I work with on a regular basis, or not so often, but I do this all the time, and I have different I don't know, practices, and like I've done different courses and stuff like this. And always the most valuable aspect that I get, even out of working with a therapist, are tools for self-reflection. This is the most important thing that I've ever experienced, because when you start digging yourself by yourself, you can, it's like, you know, it's like your own kind of cinema. You're the only person who is capable of viewing all of the moments at once, you know. And that's why I decided to start sharing it, and it's going really well for now. I'm super happy about it, and I'm receiving some good feedbacks, and I hope everyone can you know, find something useful for them, and everyone can bring something out of it, bring some tools out of it, and just maybe have some clarity in their life and understand themselves. Because this moment, when you understand some unconscious pattern that you've been following for years and years and years, you just feel so good immediately, you know. There is just this sense of relief, because you now finally understand. Because every time you have this kind of a pattern in your life that you've been following, there is always this confusion. because you don't understand what you're doing and you don't understand why you're doing. What is the reason behind it? What is your motivation behind it? Why are you doing this thing that can be destructive for you? Why? It's hard. It's not easy to understand, but we all are doing this. My hair a little bit wet. I like to play with my hair, so yeah. But we are all doing this all the time, and this is amazing because this is the part of our learning process, right? And the moment you realize why you've been doing that, there is this instant relief. You're like, wow, this is really cool. And then there are a few questions. The few questions, something like, okay, and then what, right? Because it's not enough to understand your pattern. You should also start working with it. You should start fixing it, because it's a habit, you know. Like, let's say you're you're addicted to, like, I don't know, you're smoking cigarettes, and you understand, okay, I'm smoking cigarettes. Yeah, okay, good. This is my pattern, this is my habit. But then you have to start doing something in order to change this habit on another habit, or maybe to get rid of it completely, you know. So you have to find a way. And I am now working on this, and I am creating a little course that will allow you to meet yourself within these 3 centers, right? It will allow you to understand these 3 centers, understand which one is the most kind of frustrated, in which one is the most challenging for you at this stage of your life, or in general, through some self-reflection exercises and questions, and then to be able to start working with it a little bit, like little by little. This course will be quite short, maybe a couple weeks, and it will be just kind of like a taste of the system, and I am inviting everyone very, very soon. It's not it's not ready yet, it's almost done. So if anyone is interested, you can also let me know on my Instagram, or you can let me know in comments on YouTube, and then we can see. I'll see when I'm gonna release it, and I will also share all the details, and I'm super excited to hear the feedback, and I'm super excited to see how it works for people. So yeah, and you have a good day, and thank you so much for staying with me here, and I hope may we all find a way back to ourselves and understand our patterns and our motivations. So